And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Football Friday Show with your host, Mr. NYG Jeffy T85. You all know me as Jeff. How you guys doing today? Hope you all had a great night's sleep and you're getting ready for another draft. Day two. Day two is on the horizon, and the NFL draft, after what was a very, very interesting and pretty crazy NFL draft yesterday, which saw some picks, some players fall, some players still on the board. You had some players even go to places that you didn't expect them to be. But just recapping some of the updates and some of the rumors that are going to be going out right now in terms of some other day two rumors. First, I'll just go over that real quickly. Right now, apparently teams have called the Detroit Lions on the availability of DeAndre Swift, because of the fact that they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs with the 12th pick overall in the NFL draft. So that might be an indication that the Lions might be interested in potentially moving the veteran running back, who's the same type of player as a Gibbs, a change of pace running back who's a good player out of the backfield, good receiving back overall. And it looks like that might be looking to see if they can get a mid-round pick overall. And I just don't think, because of the fact they did sign David Montgomery in the offseason and now that they drafted Gibbs, I don't think DeAndre Swift is very long for the Detroit Lions right now after this season. So I could see them trying to take him and package him for potential mid-round picks either this year and combine it next year, and seeing if they can maybe get themselves a couple of more depth pieces going into the 2023-2024 NFL draft. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen overall. So that's just one of the news that's happened so far this NFL draft going into tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, this is going to be a very interesting development for the Detroit Lions. What the hell are they going to do with a player like DeAndre Swift? You don't need him. You got Jahmyr Gibbs. You got David Montgomery. Wouldn't be surprised if they go out there and get themselves another draft pick going forward. So that's just another thing to monitor going into the second round and potentially third round of the NFL draft. Or if they make him a draft, then maybe they make him a cut after the NFL draft is over, after undrafted free agents are signed, etc., and potential moves are orchestrated in the offseason. Also, apparently, teams have called the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have the first pick in the second round, about trading up for the number 32 pick in the NFL draft. And a lot of that reason why that is the case, Kentucky quarterback Will Levis, one of the players who somehow fell into that second round, is still available right now. And it seems like a lot of teams are trying to maneuver their way up the draft boards in order to get that second round, in order to get Will Levis out of Kentucky, who a lot of rumors are going out now that apparently the reason why he fell is because of a lingering toe injury that he suffered during the 2022 college football season. So that's another reason why teams might decide to call up and look for securing that number 32 pick in order to get Will Levis with that overall pick. And one of those teams, in fact, is the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans right now are one of those teams that could potentially be in line to trade up to get the Will Levis' service in the NFL draft. That could be something to look forward to going forward. So that's something to obviously monitor going into the this second round of the 2023 NFL season. So we'll have to wait and see how that's going to placate out going forward. So, and then obviously we'll recap some of the moves that have happened so far in the first round. I'm going to pull up I'm going to share the screen for you guys in a second. Rob, what's going on? How you doing, my friend? Thank you for coming by the live stream this morning. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to make sure I share the screen for you guys, see if you can see it. This is the draft order that happened for the NFL draft so far. This upcoming, so far that's happened so far this in the first round. Obviously, the Carolina Panthers, they didn't make any bones or anything about it. They went up there and they drafted Alabama quarterback Bryce Young with the first overall pick in the NFL draft. Bryce Young is now part of the Carolina Panthers. He's going to be the quarterback going into this NFL draft. So we're going to have to wait and see how he's going to do under head coach Frank Reich. with some debate that happened last night, there were rumors going around that potentially the Texans, at least rumors, however you want to put it, they weren't interested or potentially high on these quarterbacks in the NFL draft in the first round. So they were potentially maybe looking to see if they can go for a defensive end. But they decided in the end to draft quarterback CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. CJ Stroud is now part of the Houston Texans, and he's going to be the quarterback going forward in terms of the Houston Texans. And he's going to be the guy behind center for the Houston Texans in 2023. Now, in terms of the trades that happened, the Houston Texans were not originally scheduled to be the number 3 overall pick in this NFL draft. It was actually supposed to be overall the Arizona Cardinals. They were originally supposed to be the team that was supposed to pick here, but instead the Houston Texans traded all the way back up to get that number 2 overall pick, or number 3 overall pick in the NFL draft. And they went up and they selected Alabama defensive or outside linebacker / defensive end Will Anderson with the number 3 overall pick. Very interesting move here. Obviously, head coach, defensive coordinator / new head coach, the D'Amico Ryans wanted to go out there and he wanted to get themselves a big-time defensive player in that draft. So what did? They went out there. They decided to take some of their excess draft capital, trade up, and get themselves that big monster defensive end / outside linebacker out of Alabama. And they bring in Will Anderson, who is going to be a major addition to that team going forward. So that's a good pickup for them overall. And we're going to have to see what's going to happen in terms of the overall dynamics for Will Anderson, how he's going to be able to placate himself in that overall Houston Texans defense. But before I continue on, I figure I welcome my buddy over here, one of the leaders of the Hardcore Sports Network, Mitch Kofsky. What's up, Mitch?
Yo, what a night, bro. What a night. The Eagles win the draft. The thing I hate is that Mazi Smith went to Dallas. Or not, to Michigan.
I don't think it's that bad at all. I don't think it's that terrible that he ended up going to.
No, it's just like my favorite college player. One of my favorite college players goes to my...
Yeah, well, I mean, defensive line, they want to try to secure up that defensive line in terms of run stopping because they were not good against stopping the run. So you bring in a guy like Mazi Smith, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. The Colts actually made a pretty risky pick at number 4. Not because of the risk of the player, how good he is, but because of the fact that, he has a lot of upside, but he's also very inaccurate and is still very raw prospect. And that, of course, is former University of Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson, who's now going to be behind center for the Indianapolis Colts, and he's going to be tutored by former Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen, who's now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. So we're going to have to see if they can maybe get the most out of AR-15 and that talent that he has over there in Indianapolis. So that's going to be a very interesting landing spot for him. Then we have the number 5 overall pick, Seattle Seahawks. Looks like they're trying to bring back the Legion of Boom back over there. They already had one of the best young corners in his rookie season, Tariq Woolen, and also a very good slot cornerback in Kobe Bryant. And then they go out there and draft arguably the best defensive back in the NFL draft, probably most likely the best defensive back in the NFL draft, and that is Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Great pick for them. They're trying to build up the back end of that defense. Obviously, signed the former New York Giants safety Julian Love. He's part of there. You got Quandre Diggs. You also have, of course, Jamal Adams coming back from injury. So that back end of that secondary is looking pretty damn strong over there in Seattle. The Arizona Cardinals decided to move up in the NFL draft from where they were previously. They moved all the way up to pick number 6, and they went over there and they drafted offensive tackle, second-generation offensive tackle from the University of Ohio State, and that, of course, is Paris Johnson Jr. And a little correlation here, if anybody didn't know, Paris Johnson Sr. was an offensive tackle with the Arizona Cardinals way back in the day. So now his son, Jr., is going to be able to play along with the Arizona Cardinals. The question is he going to be a right tackle? Is he going to be taking over at right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals, or is he going to be replacing DJ Humphries, who's right now the left tackle on the team? So that's going to be the question of who's going to play left and who's going to be right. I wasn't as high on – I like Paris Campbell, but he wasn't my number one offensive tackle on the board. My number one offensive tackle was, in fact, Skoronski. But it's actually a solid pick for them, and they need to get some protection on the offensive line.
Skoronski fell. He fell. I thought he was going to go up higher.
I mean, he didn't fall too far. He fell, out of the top 10, so it's not a major fall for him. I thought he'd go around, 10 to 15.
I thought the Cardinals would take him.
Yeah. I thought the Cardinals were going to go actually defense on that pick, so I was a little surprised they did that, but it makes sense why they did it. Number 8 overall, the Raiders ended up selecting Tyree Wilson, which is actually a little bit of a surprising pick over here. I didn't think they'd go Tyree Wilson with their number 7 overall pick. So they picked the linebacker out of Texas Tech. He's going to add some more pass rush on the outside and pair him up with Chandler Jones and Max Crosby to form a pretty good trio out there in terms of pass rush ability. And the Raiders are looking to see if they can get to the quarterback a lot more. Number 8, and this was one of the surprising moves of the NFL draft on the way because of the fact that they already had a good young running back on the roster who already rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. And that, of course, is Bijan Robinson, the former Texas Longhorns running back, goes to the Atlanta Falcons, pick number 8, and he is now part of that very dynamic young core over there in Atlanta with third-year player Kyle Pitts. You also have Drake London at wide receiver. Obviously, you have Desmond Ridder, who's going to be playing quarterback. You got some veterans on the team, like, a Cordero Patterson on the roster. So now, head coach Arthur Smith has a lot to play with for that Atlanta Falcons team. Season. There's a lot of background noise, Mitch.
Yeah, give me a sec.
No, it's okay. Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles make a very surprising move, which is very nice to see. The Eagles went up there and they saw that big dude out of Georgia Tech make his fall all the way down to pick number 9. The Eagles are like, no way we're going to let this guy pass by. We're going to trade up, move up one spot, and the Eagles go up there and they get themselves an absolute stud at defensive tackle in Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Jalen Carter is going to be joining a couple of other Bulldogs on that Eagles defense. And that, of course, is Jordan Davis. So the two of them are now going to be part of that defensive tackle rotation for the next however many years. And now he's going to be in there and he's going to provide a pass rush up the middle. And he's also going to be able to have an outside defensive end. He's also going to be a pass rusher up the middle and stop the run, obviously replacing the departed Javon Hargrave, who left in free agency, signing with the San Francisco 49ers. So that's a solid move. Darnell Wright. I did not expect Darnell Wright to go this high in the NFL draft, but he went to the Chicago Bears at pick number 10. He's now going to be the right tackle. Could move him to left tackle, but he could be the right tackle going into the 2023 NFL season. Obviously, the big pick. What's going on, YTC? How you doing, bro? He's now going to be the number 10 pick overall. I have no words. I have no words. Get in my belly. Get in my belly. How you doing, Coach?
I'm fabulous. How about you guys, man?
Doing good.
I'm feeling good. That let me put it like that, even though certain people frustrate me. What's up, YTC? Yeah, I mean, you finish what you're doing. What's up, brother Mitch? Finish what you're doing, bro. I don't want to take away from that. Keep going.
No, it's okay. I'm just going over the draft board of all the picks yesterday. YTC, hop on. You can too, bro. Go ahead, Mitch.
Let me ask you guys something. Who do you think won this round? Because everyone is saying the Eagles. I only heard like one or two people say the Texans.
I thought the Texans got good value, too, for getting arguably the best defensive player in the draft by getting Anderson, as well as getting CJ Stroud. I'm going to put it up there. I think Seattle had a terrific first round too.
Oh, they did too.
I really do. I love the fact they got Devin Witherspoon, who many argue was the best player in this draft. Some said he was the best overall player in this draft with his athletic ability. And then you obviously add Jackson Smith-Njigba as a slot wide receiver, going with what you already had in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Now you put him in the slot. So I thought Seattle had a phenomenal draft overall. I really do. Raphael, what's going on? YTC, I sent the link into the All-Star Sports Network. So if you want to hop on, you can hop on there. Chicken Nugs, what's going on, bro? You're going to make me want to go out there and have some chicken nuggets with that name.
That's going to make me hungry.
What's up, Raphael? I'll send you the link too, Raph, because I know you hopped on late. I apologize to my buddy Hit Squad Productions. I was going to hop on with him, but I ended up staying on my channel like about an hour later because Raphael, Rob, and Adam
bro.
They all hopped on after I left.
I'm sorry, bro. I wouldn't have done. I thought you were.
No. It's all. Hey, coach. You don't ever got to apologize for any of that stuff, man. Go out there and do your thing.
I left my brother. I feel like I left. Hey, bro, I was out there. I was hopping around. I mean, I went from Hit Squad to the Shakes crew. I mean, trust me, I understand. It's just I would have stayed with my brother. But all right. I learned. That's all I'm gonna say. I learned.
No, it's all good. Oh, by the way, you guys don't have to, but if you want to, super chats in the chat. You know, it's a thing you got to say. Super chats in the chat. If you want to send a super chat, that's up to you guys as well. Right on the bottom, you know, with the little the thing is the dollar. It is. If you guys want to send a super chat, that's all on you. I don't need them. You don't have to give them to me. Just throwing it out there if you do. You know, it's up to you guys.
Don't forget about the super sticker.
I took break. Come from my. All right, Miz. I'll send you the link. Yeah, but
I don't know now. Keep going, bro. I mean, you keep going. Baltimore. I'm sorry. I'm going to give you one. Baltimore. I love with what they doing over there, bringing back Lamar, OBJ, that receiver, and then you bring in Zay Flowers. You have Andrews. You know they have good running backs over there. Their offense now we're going to see about Lamar. You know, everyone says he's not a quarterback or whatever. Now he has the weapons. He does. Can't say he doesn't.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I like that Zay Flower picks for them because it's a perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the best wide receiver in the draft? I was having a conversation with my dad about this.
That's me, boy.
What's up, Miz? I do understand the thought that he is one of the best. I do. If he was 6 foot, say he was 6'2", 6'1", he'd easily be considered the best because of his height, inclusive with everything that he can do on the field. So I mean, he can play inside, he can play outside, he can run all the patterns, he can catch the ball. His jacks, his jack with what he can do after catching the ball, he's dynamic, man. It's just that realistically, his biggest knock is like Bryce Young. What's the biggest thing about Bryce Young? The knock on him is he can do everything else. Is just his height. Same thing with Zay Flowers.
All right, sounds good. How you doing, Miz?
What's up, Miz? Oh, yo, I love the shirt, Miz.
Guys, I'm good. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm at work. I will have an Olympic day at the school, but I told them I need a break because I got to go talk to Jeff and Coach and everybody about the Giants.
Thank you.
Well, listen, man. I talked to Pat.
Hey, Bucco.
Pat and I. Listen, tonight, brothers, the New York Giants got to go up and get a second. I posted, I've been writing, talk about it on Twitter. We must. I know Coach is not big on being so vital on one, but, I really feel because of what the Eagles did, the Giants got to go up and get a center tonight. Because you're staring at Carter and Jordan Davis over the middle for the next many years. So tonight, we cannot talk about it and wait another year like we do every year. The centers are there tonight. The Jets probably want the same centers we do. If Shane got to trade another 2 middle round guys to go up ahead of the Jets to get the center they want, which is either Schmitz or Tippmann. Go up and get this center. I really feel it is vital the Giants come away tonight with a franchise center. Look at what the Eagles have built in the front seven. And that's just real talk.
I agree with you.
Miz, I will say this. I'm not adverse. Like, I don't know why everybody thinks I'm against the center. I'm not against the center. I've never been. Anyone who knows me, I love interior. I love linemen, offensive, defensive linemen. So I get it. I understand. It's just the theory that many people make it seem like it's John Michael Schmidt or bust. And that's where I'm like, no, it's not that. I mean, if you miss out on him, there are other centers you can still get. I get it. I get what you're saying about the Eagles. Me personally, and I said it last night on the shakedown, I said, I'm not worried about what another team does. I only care about what our team does, because it just seems like everyone is so, well, the Eagles did this, the Eagles did this, the Eagles did this. We got to do this because the Eagles did this. No, we do what Joe Schoen feels is best to help this organization. Do you keep that? Do you look at that because it's a division? Of course. Dallas and Washington too. But to make it seem like, oh, it's all the Eagles. Wow, they beaten us three times last year, to dominate. I get it. And I guess I just have the ability to brush that shit off, because as a coach, you got to brush that shit off and move on to the next. You have to. I don't let that sit in my head, because that creates a certain level of negativity. I'm like, yo, bro, meet me at the 50 so I can bust your fucking ass. That's me. That's my mindset. Eagles do what they got to do. Dallas does what they got to do. We going to do what we got to do. But wrap it up, Miz. I'm with you about getting a center. It's just that I don't want it to be, because that's all I'm hearing. John Michael Schmidt. It's all about John Michael Schmidt.
No, we can go to the receiver next round, if anything. Whatever he feels best.
We just need that quality one. That's all.
Yeah, I get you.
We can find one in the third round. Find some random in the third round.
I'm gonna wait, man. I mean, I'm not willing. Once one center goes, you're gonna start seeing them go, just like the receiver. You're gonna see a whole line of them go.
Well,
yeah, exactly. We gotta go snag one now. And if anything, we could just trade back into the late second round, anyways, if we want to.
Yeah, Buko says it right here. Seattle's gonna be looking for a center too.
I want it.
Yeah, no, I think we're going to get a center. It's just going to be dependent on if Schoen sees these centers starting to go off the board pretty early in the second round. I think he's not going to be hesitant to take some of those picks. If he really believes one of those centers he definitely could use on this team, he's going to probably trade up and try to get one of them. But
I do think the pick would be Torrance, I think.
No, I think it's going to be either Weipler, Tippmann. It's going to be John Michael Schmidt. It could even be like an Ola Matimi out of Michigan. One of those guys.
Michigan, please.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Torrance. That's what my pick is. Him or John Michael Schmitz.
If we get Osiris Torrance, I know he's not a center. I will not complain one bit. I will not complain one bit if that's the case.
As long as he's versatile, he could play guard or at center. I'll take it. I like that in offensive line.
He's only a guard, unfortunately.
He's a right guard.
Yeah.
He's a right guard. He has never played center.
I personally have always liked Tippmann. So, I believe he could play guard and center. He's a big guy.
I think one of those guys will fall.
But I believe also the Jets like Tippmann. So
yes, I do too.
Look, and we might have to trade up to 40 because the Jets have two back-to-back picks at 41 and 42, I believe.
No, they traded one. They traded
one for Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that trade.
Got one pick at 42. That's it.
Yeah.
But still, we don't want to risk the Jets getting him.
Shane has a good feel of the draft, because just like people are complaining about, he traded to move up one spot. Why did he trade? Because
Dallas tried to jump us.
Exactly. And how many years in the past have we? The Eagles.
The Eagles did it to us last year with Devontae Smith. They tried to hold us for players.
So and that's the thing is he has the feel, so he's going to do what he has to do. If that means he has to move up, he's going to move up to get his player. And that basically says that's exactly what he was thinking. And yes, he could have stayed right there. Dallas could have jumped him for that, and you could have taken Joey Porter Jr. But he felt Banks was the better player, and he was well worth the move. And I get it. I don't have an issue with it. And you're giving up on the back end. You're giving up a 5th rounder and a 7th rounder. A 7th rounder, if I'm not mistaken, is 1 point in terms of the draft capital. However they do it. And then I think the fifth rounders are like around 100 points.
Exactly. And Joe Schoen said it himself. We're not taking 10+ players. We're not going to be able to afford everyone from the rookie class.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why people are flipping out because of the fact we traded a 5th and 7th round pick.
What could we do?
People are idiots.
Because people are just too busy panicking all the time over this kind of stuff. You don't realize that a lot of these players probably are going to have to compete, and who even knows if they're even going to make the roster at the end. You see 7.
And secondly, and for everybody saying that Jordan Addison went to Minnesota was done for that shit because they didn't need another receiver. They just needed another corner. Their whole defense was trash last year.
Well, I disagree about that, YTC. I do believe they need another wide
receiver.
They
had KJ Osborne and a few other people. They could have went receiver in the second.
I understand that, but Addison is a dynamic type of wide receiver on the outside that does at least get some coverage away from.
I understand, but they have no defense still. Who are they going to cover?
They can get cornerbacks in the second round. There's cornerbacks there.
There's depth at the cornerback.
Think about it. You got Cam Smith. You got whatchamacallit from
Kelly Ringo.
Yeah, Kelly Ringo.
Point,
you have whatchamacallit from TCU and Utah. So there's cornerbacks there that are of good value. So I get why Minnesota did what they did. It was a good move for them. So
yeah.
And let me see. They in terms of the grading, the 172 that the Giants gave up was worth 21 points, and then the 7th round is 1 point. When you look at the draft capital,
we're not keeping those picks anyway. So yeah,
exactly. So that's why But see, like Miz said, people don't understand how the NFL, the draft is done. What's up, Adam? How are you, bro?
How you doing, Adam?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, fellas?
What up, Costas?
How are you?
Oh, I can't believe we gave up 2 picks to go up 1 spot. You gave up a 7th round pick. We have 3 of those. Okay? People don't make any sense. The Bills and Cowboys were both looking to jump us.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted that Banks. The Bills wanted Banks.
I want to just touch on what you said about Minnesota. Something came up during the game that we played the Minnesota Vikings last year. I think it was Mark Schlereth was the announcer. And he goes, the problem with this team is they've drafted too much offensive players and not enough defensive players. That's why their defense has been bad.
They could have won defense.
Now,
I felt their defense was,
We want to sit here and say, oh, they can have a corner in the second round. Well, you could argue that they could get a receiver in the second round.
Yeah, exactly.
So my point to me was the best pick I think for them would have been getting a corner to lock down over there because the probability goes down that your guy as a corner is going to succeed as much as a receiver is going to succeed. You feel me? So receivers in the second round have been prominent across the NFL. How many 5th round corners have you heard done exceptionally well? Now you have James Bradbury. I get it. You got guys like that, Darius Slay. But to me, you had a chance to get a premier corner and pair him on that defense with Brian Flores. I probably would have done that. That's all.
That's true. That's true. Or they could have also drafted Nolan Smith, who they let slip to the Eagles at 30. So that's another guy.
Hey, listen, I would have rather them get Smith than fucking Porter because Porter and Bradbury and Slay are a problem if they would have had that secondary.
But now that the Eagles have another pass rusher to go with what they already have, it's just going to make it even more dynamic and rotation-wise on the pass rush. That was probably one of the biggest shockers of that first round, the fact that Nolan Smith dropped all the way down to pick number 30 and right into the Philadelphia.
I thought the Jets were going to get him, but they took Will McDonald. I thought he would have been the pick at 15.
The Jets were probably going offensive line originally, but because those tackles started going off early, they decided, you know what, we're going to take a chance on this kid McDonald on a defensive side because he is a dynamic.
I'm surprised they think he's McDonald. I'm surprised they think McDonald's more upside than Nolan Smith. If that's the case.
That's just my opinion. Steal of the draft. The Eagles getting Nolan Smith at 30.
You know what's funny? On the live stream last night, I was like, what are the odds that the Eagles get Nolan Smith at 30? And then you guys are like, no, he's going to get picked beforehand.
Yeah, we thought we were. We thought he was going to get picked.
Everyone thought. No, everyone did. Come on, we all did.
We all thought that he was going to get picked. He was too good of a player. He was that good of a player that we thought he was going to get picked earlier. So have to give a lot of credit to the Eagles and being able to wait it out and then having him drop right in their lap. So it's a terrific job.
I thought they were going to trade up. I thought they were going to take that pick and trade up to get him.
And here's something I want people to understand. Thank you to the entertainer for saying this. The wide receivers the New York Giants are playing this year: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, C.D. Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Stephon Diggs, Andre Hopkins for now, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, along with the rookies that they just drafted.
Yeah, that right there is why we go corner.
They needed the cornerback help.
Yeah,
you need it. It does, to me. That's why it makes a lot of sense. You know, yeah, I wanted us to draft back, but I'm not mad at it. It makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, and we need an elite cornerback. Like I've said the entire time, and this is just my opinion. You look at the cornerback group right now. You might think they might think they're good. They have talent, but let's just be real. It's very inconsistent. All of them have been injured. None of them besides Jackson has really established himself as a true top cornerback on this team. You needed to get yourself a young cornerback who could play bump and run coverage on the outside, who could be good against the run, and that's exactly what somebody like Deonte Banks can do. He's a very good bump and run coverage, good size on the outside.
He'll fit as our number 2 for sure, but then over time take the number 1 because I think Adorie's done after this year unless he takes a minimum of that.
No, I think
he'll be the eventual number 1.
I think they're not even working on a contract extension right now. What's up, Jerry?
Yeah, because he's getting older, obviously, and that's why they drafted a successor, basically. I think the goal is for them, to get Cordell Flott to develop, and then eventually over time it'll be Flott and Banks taking over next year.
I don't know. I think they might want to keep Cordell Flott in the slot. I think they think he's going to be best overall in the slot position.
Unless they go sign someone for agency next year, but yeah. Once Adorie's gone, hypothetically.
They could also do what Seattle's done. I mean, Seattle went out there and they drafted 3 young cornerbacks in back-to-back drafts, so they could also go that route as well. You got Flott in the slot. You got now Banks on the outside.
Flott in the slot. That's funny.
The Flott in the slot. Yep, that's a group.
That's funny.
And you also got you got Leonard Johnson. Remember they brought in Leonard Johnson, who didn't get drafted last year, did injury. You got
we have a bunch of guys just waiting to get their opportunity, including Aaron Robinson, including
Robinson
those
doesn't
other
have
guys.
to come back. Robinson doesn't have to be like rushed back now too. What you have now with Banks is you have a guy that could take over, and Robinson could come back after getting injured last year. So it's not like they have to.
Because Robinson played really well before the injury. Oh, that's why in my eyes he played really well.
And Robinson could also play in the slot too. He could play on the outside.
It was also puzzling why Rodarius Williams didn't get enough playing time. He was really good for the limited amount of snaps he had.
Injuries, and he was in the doghouse with the organization after what he tweeted out.
Yeah, with Rodarius Williams.
I don't really put any contention on Rodarius Williams, and I think we talked about it last night, YTC. I think that Darnay Holmes might be saying goodbye to the Giants very soon. Not his salary, unless he's going to work out. Unless he's going to work out a reduced deal like Darius Slayton did last year. Yeah, he's going to be out of here. He's making way too much money for a guy that's probably going to have his job taken from him because I expect Flott to be playing in the slot this year. I'd be shocked if he's not. The Giants didn't draft him in the 3rd round to not play. No, start to play him. So.
But no, I expect our starting safeties to be McKinney and McCain, I guess, starting week 1.
I think it's going to be Belton. I don't know why. I believe they're going to try to get Belton. It's going to be, or they could go 3 safety look. They can go McCain, Belton, and
McCain, Belton, and
McKinney.
Exactly, McKinney.
So, and you can't forget about Jason Pinnock as well. But
yeah, he was really solid as well.
What are you guys looking at? What do you guys think about some of the rumors that are popping out right now about the latest rumor? I don't know if you guys heard it about teams trying to trade up to the 32nd overall pick to see if they can get Will Levis.
It makes sense.
Who has to
makes sense? I expect I expect teams like the Vikings, the Patriots to be in the market for that.
Number 32 starts with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
I think they're taking Porter though at 32. That's why I think they're going to get if they don't trade.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
That's when they'll get the son, yeah. Just go play for his father's team, but yeah.
Steelers could get a lot for that. It's like having the first pick all over tonight, and other teams that still want a quarterback.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping the Giants are able to get to that
37
to 40 spot if we can trade up like 17 spots somehow.
That's a big jump. You're gonna have to go you're gonna have to give up a lot of draft capital to make a jump like that. I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that.
We'll see how much they value these receivers that they've been praising allegedly from these reports.
You're literally gonna have to give up your 4th and maybe your 6th round draft pick.
Yeah, that's a steep jump. I don't know if I'd be in favor of them doing that.
To go where we at?
The 4th this year probably, but if we can give up the 6th next year, then I'd be all for it.
You said what, the 30 what? To go from 57 to where?
37 to 40.
57 to 57 to 40.
Oh, 57 to 40.
It's somewhere around there, yeah. 45 at worst, somewhere around there.
You're gonna have to that's at 330 points, and the 40 is at 500. So you're literally gonna have to come up with 170 points. And the Giants have a 6th rounder, and that 6th rounder is worth 6.2 points.
Mm.
So that in the 4th round. Where's the 4th round? Where's the Giants? Okay, here it is. 44 points. Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend doing this because I feel next year's town for the draft is much better. But if the Giants are dying for somebody, they could trade one of their picks for next year to move up.
Oh, of course. I mean, I get that. You can do that. Heck, you can probably, see if somebody wants a player. I mean, there's ways. Points.
Okay.
So,
May 12th.
May 12th. Thank you.
Carter.
Thank you. Have a good one.
How would you guys feel for Brian Branch if he falls to us at 57?
Yeah, I heard a lot about him for Giants.
I thought he would be gone already.
I get it, but we just went over the safeties and the nickel slots.
Yeah, it kind of makes the Belton pick look a little silly then if you're going to get Brian Branch.
There you go. I put the trade value chart in the private chat for you.
What's up?
I put in the private chat the trade.
It's got to be offensive line or wide receiver. It's one of those two positions they're definitely targeting it.
I think it's tonight. One of those two. Yeah, I mean, like Miz said earlier, the centers, especially and like Jeff said, you see centers start to go. Then it's going to be, what do you do to move up to get it? And like Miz is saying, you're going to have to include the value from next year.
If there's no centers there, I think a guy like Jonathan Mingo would be there for us at 57. We'd probably be able to take him.
But you could get Jonathan Mingo in the 3rd round, man. You don't need
Mingo is going to be going. I think Mingo's going in the 2nd round.
Probably Whippler would be available.
So you don't know if you're going to get Jonathan Mingo in the 3rd round. That's what you think. You don't know that because it's not happening right now. Right now we're in the 2nd round. So right now there could be a team that, like the Giants, is doing the same thing. Oh, maybe we can get him in the next round. And then somebody says, "Psych, you're getting drafted now." So don't.
I mean, then again, Wando Robinson was a projected 3rd rounder, and we got him in the 2nd. So,
well, this is what I was kind of hoping last night. This is what I'm hoping for tonight. Keep the 57 pick. Maybe package up something else in the other.
What up, Alex?
The most I would trade up is 50.
What I'm saying is, you keep the 57 pick. You still package up 2 other picks to come up into the early 40s.
Yeah.
So now you get a pick at early 40s, and you get 57. You get your center, and you get your Mingo. Let's just say.
You get your starting offensive lineman and wide receiver. I'd be for it. Yeah.
The picks we have right now to move up into the 40s, it's not you're going to have to include your 2nd round draft pick. There's no way you can keep the 2nd and move up into the 40s with what we have in terms of draft capital.
Or
because of the NFL goes by that point value now. That's what baffles me. Back in the days when we were younger, Miz, you just made your trade. But now they once Jimmy Johnson went with that point value or created the point value chart, then it changed everything. So everyone started doing that because now they give more emphasis on the pick. So, and based on what those pick values are, I mean, like I said, the 40 is worth what, 500 points?
Ooh, that's a good one by Alex. Marvin Mims in the second round? Would you guys be interested in Marvin Mims?
Yeah, a lot of guys. Rashid Rice.
I heard about it. Yeah, Boomer Sooner. Yep.
You got A.T. Perry, Rice. I mean, there's you guys are hitting.
You got Cedric Tillman.
Rashid Rice.
You got a ton of good wide receivers. Xavier Hutchinson, P.J. Washington, Wheaton, Vicks.
For everybody
Demos,
says.
Jarrett.
I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of trading for a late second, moving around that early 60 spot right after we pick.
But what
if we can.
How do you get it?
We would have to give. I know it's likely a third runner we would have to swap. I think we're picking 89.
Exactly.
We would have to find a way to jump up 20 spots.
I honestly also think that the Giants might not want to trade their picks because I do think they have eyes on that, like we were saying last night, Coach, had a running back, that UCLA running back. I think the Giants want to take a running back in the fourth round.
Keandre Miller?
Yeah, I think they're going to want to get themselves another running back. Yeah, I do agree with that.
I think they're getting one in like the fourth or fifth round. One of those 2 rounds they'll get one.
We don't have it the fifth round anymore. That's gone.
Yeah, we traded away the 5th round pick for to move
on. Dude.
Well, according to you guys, we're not going to have any picks because they're trading up to get Jonathan Mingo as well. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you look at the draft chart that they go by, the back end, they really aren't that much value. Now, are we dipping into next year? So, or is there a player inclusive in there? So it's right now to trade up into the 40s, y'all. It's going to cost a lot.
Yeah. Well, apparently Luca is not very happy about the Jets picking Will McDonald. That's what Alex says.
I know a lot of Jets fans are feeling that way.
A lot of Jets fans are baffled they didn't take Nolan Smith. Yeah.
A lot of Jet fans don't know much about him. Here, I'll let Adam tell you because Adam was first to pretty much leak him about him. But I agreed when I looked at the tape. This guy is much better than people really know about.
Yeah, he is. He is. Adam, go ahead and help the Jets fans out so they don't jump off the cliff.
Why? What's wrong? They don't like they don't like Mingo.
Don't worry, they'll figure it out.
They don't like McDonald. They're not big fans of McDonald.
McDonald. Oh my God!
Jeff, just ignore them. They're seeking Jeff. Just ignore them. They're seeking attention. They said they were jumping off the cliff for the last 12 years, and they're still around to suffer around through it.
McDonald is a good player.
They would have done it by now.
They need to understand that he's a good player and he's going to help their defense. And we were talking about him rising up draft boards. So the fact that he's left in the draft where he was, and I don't know why Chris is so angry about it, because he's the one who started to put us on that guy. We started doing film work together, and I'm like, this guy's going in the first round. What do you mean he's not going in the first round? You have a guy that is an athletic freak who's going to be able to be utilized in a blitzing package, who doesn't have to come in and start right away since you have Carl Lawson and Jermaine Johnson right there. And you already have a top 5 defense adding another weapon. Remember what Ernie Accorsi said back in the day? Can never have too many pass rushers. Well, guess what? What division are you in? You're in the AFC East. Not only the AFC East, but you're in the AFC Conference. So you need to go chase these guys around. Allen, Jackson, Justin Herbert.
I mean, it's Robert Saleh. Then again, he's a defensive-minded guy, so of course he would be inclined to go for a top defensive. Yeah. He did this thing in the 49ers. Yeah. My buddy he's a 49ers fan, told me about Robert Saleh already, so I'm well aware.
They wanted the guy that New England traded out of for Pittsburgh to jump them and take.
Gonzalez?
No, then the Steelers take the lineman.
Yeah, they took Broderick Jones.
They took Broderick Jones.
That's the guy the Jets were going to draft.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense now.
I agree.
So that's why it makes sense for them to trade up.
I think the reason why they went defense on this one, I think a lot of it had to do with those offensive linemen started to go a lot higher than maybe some projected because Darnell Wright.
So they went to plan B, exactly.
Yeah, and then Broderick Jones, who the Jets were probably targeting in that first round as that offensive tackle. They got selected, pretty much right before Pittsburgh made the smart move to protect Pickett. So they jumped up in front of him and made that pick right there. So that's probably
plan B came,
a very good, a young defensive end / outside linebacker who has a lot of upside and potential to bring in part of that pass rush rotation because Jermaine Johnson has a lot of upside and potential too. So they probably figured, we'll add him in there with what we have and he can develop him right behind what we already got in terms of having Carl Lawson. You also got John Franklin Myers on that defensive line too. So you have a couple of other depth guys. So I think it's a solid move by the Jets. Do I think it's earth-shattering? No. Do I think this kid is going to be making a monster impact in his rookie season? I don't know. I don't think so. But you never know. Put him in that scheme, goes out there, shows well, gets more opportunities. Maybe he could end up being a stud for that Jets defense. I mean, Jermaine Johnson looked pretty good in his rookie year. Jets got a good value for him in the late first round last year, so we'll have to wait and see. Anybody got a rebuttal?
No, what you said, it makes 1,000%. It makes a whole lot of sense. So I agree with it. Wow.
Do you guys think that the earliest position that's going to be targeted early in this second round is going to be wide receiver or center?
I think they might go center. It depends on the class because we're picking way late in the second.
I don't mean the Giants. I'm not just saying the Giants in general. I'm just saying the entire board, like everybody.
The earliest.
Oh no, they're going offensive line. The Colts needed offensive linemen. The Cardinals. No, the Cardinals already addressed it. I think there's teams like them in Houston that might get it.
How did TRL react to the whole thing?
He was pissed.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Go ahead, Coach.
No, I think
Go ahead.
because Pittsburgh is first. I think it's early, and based on what you said, Jeff, it's going to be defensive back. Pittsburgh, I think, is going Joey Porter Jr. unless they trade out.
Okay.
I mean,
do you think they can maybe trade
sense.
back? Like
No,
maybe take
that's
that
what I'm
pick and
saying.
trade back like a spot or two because the fact that pick is going to be worth a lot. A lot of people might want to move up to get might move up to get Levis. Sorry, go ahead.
And that's the thing. So yeah, if they trade out, then I would say quarterback. But if they're there and they're picking, I'd say first pick, it has to be a defensive back for them. And it makes sense. Joey Porter Jr. went to Penn State, father played there, so he has that legacy there. It makes a whole lot of sense. So now they think they can still get him and move back a few spots and pick up some capital, then that's a different story. I mean, what teams in the second round needs who needs quarterbacks that we can look at?
Quarterback teams, I could see Minnesota, New England. Don't rule out Washington either. I wouldn't rule that out either.
Vegas,
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, yeah.
Those are the 4 teams that come to mind. And Tennessee, those are make it 5.
So,
I don't know if I include Washington. They just got a cornerback. I don't think they're going to go back-to-back cornerbacks. They could.
Quarterback.
Quarterback. I'm sorry.
Well, Levis, yeah.
My fault.
Well, Levis and Hendon Hooker are up there, so yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Hendon Hooker. But I also think that, with the way this draft is going, it's pushing a lot of value down. That's why I also wonder about moving up a whole lot to go get a player, because teams are looking at right off the bat. Look at Levis was projected first round. Mayer projected first round. Brandt projected first round. Porter Jr. There's guys that are being pushed into the second round, and they're pushing guys who are projected to be in the second round down further in the draft board. High second rounds are moving into the mid to the low second rounders, and then those second rounders are moving into the third. So it's just how is the overall draft board? But certain ones, Gibbs being taken, Campbell being taken in the first round, to me, help push guys down the draft board.
I agree with you 100%, Coach. There's going to be a lot of good top quality talent that's still going to be there and available when we get to the when we get to our pick around there. So I'm not going to have this team panic and just play the boards, play the board. You got to play the board smart. You can't make panic moves. You can't just say, "Oh, well, the centers are going off the board. We got to panic and trade everything." No, you got to play the board the way it is. Don't give up everything if you see a certain trend going on. All right. There's still going to be good centers, even if a Schmidt or a Weipler or Tidman go. There's still other centers on the board that will be there.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to fall, I think, after a few. Yeah.
It's not ideal, but I mean, and for me, wide receiver, I'm not panicking if they don't go wide receiver in the second round. There's so much decent quality depth at this wide receiver position. You can get another good wide receiver in the third round or the fourth round. You don't have to panic and necessarily go up and get a receiver in the second round. I think it'll be Joe Schoen doing something very uncharacteristic of what we've seen and been adept at him doing so far. I'd be shocked if something like that ends up happening. So we'll have to see. Like I said, there's a lot of good depth. They could even, it's a surprise. Don't be shocked if they do this, guys. Don't be shocked if they go outside linebacker or pass rush, or if they go.
Trenton Simpson would be ideal.
Yeah.
If they do that.
Don't be shocked if they go linebacker.
Him or Sanders, I guess. That would be the picks.
So
if we do that.
You look at that linebacker position, besides Okereke, who do you really count on in that inside linebacker position? And pass rush, too. You got Ojulari, but he was hurt last year. Thibodeau, we think he's going to be really good. He showed signs of being really good. What do you have after that? You're very barren at that pass rush position. If a good pass rusher is sitting there, do you not take him and add to what you already have? Ellison Smith's on a milk carton right now. I mean, Timon Fox, we like him.
Shane Ximines has been on a milk carton since he got in the league.
I mean, Ximines is not even on the team anymore. He's gone.
Oh wow.
He's a free agent. He's not even on the team anymore.
But still,
I mean,
we have a bunch of guys on milk cartons.
What's up, Mitch?
Who's a free agent? I just got back.
No, we're talking about O'Shane Ximines. He's a free agent for the Giants. They're not bringing him back. Yeah. So a pass rusher could easily be there as well at pick number 57. So don't be shocked if the Giants maybe move up a little bit if a pass rusher that falls around that area. So that's another position you got to keep open and you got to keep your eyes open for is a pass rusher that might be available there, because I think they're going to want to keep fixing and making that defense as strong as possible, especially the fact you see the trend going on in this division right now. You see all these really good offenses right now, and everybody in the NFC, what do? They loaded up on defense. I don't know if that trend is going to stop going into the second round.
You know why? Because they want to stop the Philadelphia offense. That's why.
Well, it's not even just Philly. That entire division has good offenses.
Besides ours, outside of Saquon and DJ.
Washington's got a good offense. Dallas has got a solid offense too. And also offensive line as well. Teams are going to want to strengthen up that offensive line. So that's why I'm not panicking about wide receiver. And I'm still leaning towards they're not going to go wide receiver in round 2. I don't, unless the wide receiver drops.
Adam, what's your percentage or what do you think is the most likely position they're going to take first in the second round?
I think
probably offensive line.
A wideout is what they would probably want to divert to because they can get guys deeper in the draft. I mean, there are still some good linemen on there, Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's between
Shane Valley's coming this draft
and a guard, right? So we'll see. He apparently said that their interest they love their guys on the line they've already brought in. So I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll see how content really is with how the draft pans out tonight. Definitely.
Great.
It'll tell us a lot about Shane.
Glad you answered for me.
I mean, I don't believe, like I said, I don't believe a damn thing that Joe Shane says. I don't, when it comes to this type of thing. He might be trying to throw a little bit of a curveball for everybody.
Oh, no, I believe you, Jeff.
One direction and go another one.
Him and Dable and the other guys, they know how to play the media like a fiddle. They know how to get through the snarky, nosy media that we have in New York. You could tell by their interviews how snarky they really be.
So, Adam, I want to hear Adam on this one. Adam, so you're thinking you think they're going to be leaning more towards wide receiver, or you think they're going to be going a different direction?
I think they might try to get a wideout in the second round because they didn't try to go for one in the first. It depends on value. Right? We're talking about centers right now. They could be a run on them by the time we get there, right? So there's a lot of receivers that are still good that they can get right now that they can pick. And the center, and they still have a third round pick. There's 2 picks tonight. So as long as they come away with one of the other, I mean, there's a guy like Trent Simpson still on the board. Maybe they punt and go a different direction altogether. We can't just sit here and assume. See, the thing is, we as fans get so caught up on these positions. We need this, and we need that. We're not in the rooms with them studying. They brought in a center from Pittsburgh. They like a couple of guys on their roster. I would not shock me if they decided, you know what, we have no receivers outside of what we got. They got 2 guys on the roster that are here past next year.
Yep.
So to me, if you can get a wideout right now, and I know the receiving class is better next year, maybe you pick a receiver this year to help you out. And then in the third round, if there's one of your guys still there, you pick a center. And there you go. And now you've got both your guys gone. Or maybe you pick Trenton Simpson if he's the highest guy on your board. What did the Giants do yesterday? They went with a position of need, and then they went up and got their guy at the corner position. We all thought they were going to do that. Now, with all these receivers that are still left, remember, a lot of guys dipped that we thought were going to the first round are now in the second round.
Yes.
So we're gonna see a lot of value still on this board, which is going to push a lot of guys down to the third round. A lot of these centers that we're talking about are not necessarily.
They'll probably fall to day 3. Yeah, third round.
So I'm thinking wide receiver. Could be wrong, but we'll see what happens.
And
I'm still leaning. I don't know why, Adam. I think that they might be leaning towards. I'm glad you brought up linebacker because I'm thinking they might still want to keep improving that defense. Because that linebacker position is still very suspect in the inside, especially the inside linebacker position. You got Okereke, but Beavers, everybody's high on Beavers. He has not played a snap in the NFL. McFadden is a good rotation.
McFadden, I don't think
Rod
so.
Davis, I think, is okay. I would not be shocked at all if this team goes inside linebacker in the second round. I would not be shocked if a Trenton Simpson or one of those top guys at Overshown. Don't forget about that name from Texas.
No, Noah Sewell's another guy I'm looking at.
That's another one that they could potentially look at.
Noah Sewell.
At that outside linebacker position. So, or Noah Sewell. BJ Ojulari. Is it crazy they might decide to think?
They might drop the brother.
Ojulari is a good, solid player. Maybe we could add him to our defensive system and pair him up for his brother. You don't know. I'm leaving everything I'm leaving open with this whole entire.
I think they're going to go more defense in this draft because last year they went a lot of offensive players. They brought in the guard. They brought in, Joshua.
Yeah, they went interior. As a dude, they brought in McKeithen. They brought a lot of interior guys.
Do you talk? Do you let people talk when they talk? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but
my apologies.
Go ahead, Adam. Finish what you were saying.
I was saying that they bring in, Josh Ezeudu. They've brought in McKeithen. They brought in Wan'Dale Robinson. They have a lot of offensive guys in last year's draft. So maybe this year they want to bolster the defense a little bit because they don't really have too many guys vested in the defensive side of the football. They have Kayvon Thibodeau. They're going to have Dexter Lawrence, right? We didn't have any corners outside of this past one, so we drafted a corner, right? So what's left? The linebacker position and the edge rusher position because there's not much there outside of Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All right, go ahead, YTC.
No, I'm just gonna. No, I got something to do right now. You guys can go ahead.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm leaving everything open right now for Joe Schoen in terms of what he might do in this second round, and I'm very interested to see what position he might go and target going to the second round. I think it's gonna be very interesting how this board plays out, and I would not be shocked if Pittsburgh. I know Coach was bringing it up before. I would not be shocked if Pittsburgh ends up trading that number 32 pick because I think a lot of teams are going to be very interested in calling up and getting that number 32 pick. And I think Pittsburgh can get a decent haul and still be able to get the player that they might be looking for, somewhat earlier in that draft, around 33, 34, 35. They could essentially move back maybe a spot or two and still get themselves like a third round pick or so in that draft and still get their guy. They're interested in a Joey Porter Jr. So who really knows at this point what the Giants might do and, what some of these other teams might do in the first round. So, but what do you guys think about the rumors going around as well with DeAndre Swift, that the Detroit Lions are potentially dangling him because of the fact they got Gibbs at pick number 12. So you think, where do you think are some places that a guy like DeAndre Swift might be ended up going if they decide to trade him and what kind of value they can get for him?
Means trading Swift?
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense now because they just brought in Gibbs. I mean, you have a surplus of running backs. So, but who wants to make the trade and what are you going to get for him? That's the only thing I'm, who needs a running back, in that regard? What teams? I mean, looking at the teams now.
How about a 5th round pick, Coach? Would you trade a 5th round pick for somebody like Swift, or is that still a little bit too steep?
No, I mean, it makes, he's a running back, that's a 5th rounder. Most teams, want to do running back by committee. So, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. What do you know what his contract is?
No, I'll look it up right now.
Is he still on his rookie contract or something?
I think he might be. I'm just gonna look it up real quick.
I'm trying to look at who needs a running back. Is Arizona?
What year was he drafted?
I think 2016, 17.
Chicago, no Tennessee. I don't think they'll trade in their division right away.
2020. My apologies. 2020.
Well, he's got to be on his rookie contract, I think.
Yeah, he's on his rookie deal. So.
What round was he?
Might as well keep him.
Oh no, he was a. Hang on, let me see.
I think he was a second round pick. He's a second round pick, so he'd be expiring after.
He doesn't have a 5th-year option, so
this year's last year.
This is last year, so yeah, 5th rounder, maybe a 6th rounder, because he's really going to be a one and done. But like I said, the teams, who? I mean, I'm just scrolling through. Maybe New England.
Honestly, it'd be good value at the 5th round, in my opinion.
Maybe the Chargers. Remember, the Chargers have wants to trade out over there too.
Yeah.
Eckler.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking like Buffalo.
For a 5th rounder.
Okay. Buffalo. Yeah. No, not Cincinnati. New Orleans. Kamara has the issues with his legal issues. So, I mean, is he on the team or is he off?
I think he's still on the team, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets suspended. It's a little bit this year.
So I mean, based on what you're saying, Jeff, you can get something for him, 5th rounder, 6th rounder. So I mean, that's a good point, man.
Yeah, it's on an expiring deal. Jamar, what's going on? You got a lot of background noise right now, Jamar.
Is he in the hallway?
I think he might be out right now. Jamar, can you pause your mic for a second? You got a lot of background noise at the moment. I'm going to answer this question from Jers real quickly. Do you think that the Giants have a fullback or an H-back on the roster? I believe they do. There's a couple of guys on the practice squad that you could potentially use as an H-back. So, I mean, you could use I think Myrick is still on the roster. I think he was signed to a futures deal. So you could use him. You have Vanette. You have obviously Tommy Sweeney with the team signed. Sweeney. That's another guy. So you have those guys that are currently on the roster that could be used in an H-back type role as a blocking tight end / fullback. So you have multiple guys that could potentially be there if they want to use an H-back on the team. So I noticed that I don't see too many the fullback position, unfortunately, is a dying position.
It's a dying breed.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's a dying breed. I just think the offense has been opened up too much where they try to get rid of the fullback. To me, the fullback is an essential position that people don't want to value, right? Emmitt Smith doesn't get all them yards without Moose Johnson in front of him, right? And I think, to me, Barkley would benefit from a lead dog in front of him because then he could follow, instead of trying to be a jitterbug and trying to find a hole, a guy can go create one for him. Right. And once it goes through the hole, he follows that running back, that fullback's ass right up until now I can go left or right because he's going to block that particular player, that linebacker trying to come in and fill the hole. So I think the fact that these teams, the thing is they're trying to get cute with the offensive weapons and all this bull crap. What you really need to do with these teams with these prominent running backs is you need a fullback. You need a guy. And the problem with an H-back is it's half tight end, half fullback. And when you have a guy that doesn't come out of the backfield, remember, football players use their sight lines, okay? If you're taught to play football, you're taught to hit a color, and then if that color is not there, you go to the next color, right? But if you're sitting on the line of scrimmage doing that, that's one thing. If you're sitting in the backfield 5 yards back, that's a totally different thing. Because now you're not the tight end anymore. You may not be chipping the defensive end. You may be going after the linebacker that's scraping over the top, right? And if you're not familiar with doing that, you're going to revert to your old muscle memory.
That makes a lot of sense. Good point there, Adam. But
people forget about this fullback. I love him, but they never talk about Larry Centers. You know how great Larry Centers was for the Arizona Cardinals when they needed a pinch. They could run that guy. They could throw the football to him. Charles showed me the way for the Giants. He was a good fullback for them. Mike Alstott kind of changed the fullback position as well. Probably
Lorenzo Neal.
Probably both those guys should probably be Hall of Famers, right? But they don't recognize that anymore. And I feel like if you want to be a dominant running team, without having, because what they're trying to do is let the backs decide what hole they're going to, what make the guy miss. How about just make it easy on him, Even in college, they're not running. The thing is, the NFL is evolving as a college game because a lot of these guys aren't. How am I going to put this in a way that makes sense? They aren't football educated the way they normally are because they're playing spread out offense, right? And they want to score and make it track on the field. The fullback becomes archaic. However, if you go back and watch what is winning championships in the NFL, are teams with heavy running games. I mean, look at Dominic Pacheco in the Super Bowl, right? They gave him the rock when they needed to give him the rock. Now you put a fullback in front of that guy, guess what? Now you got 12 personnel. You could really run downhill. I think while yes, the fullback is gone, I do believe people still need to bring it into light because I think it is a valuable weapon going forward.
It's a good point, Adam.
Yeah.
One thing about the fullback position, the fullback is still a running back. I know through the course of time, the fullback has evolved into, the standard blocking back. And then when you do run, for example, ISO, ISO means that the fullback is identified to block the one specific linebacker, and the running back keys off of his block. So the offensive line, whatever hole, whether you're running through the 4 to 6 hole, the fullback is isoing on that linebacker while the rest of the line handles everything else. And the running back keys off of his block. So if he kicks the linebacker left, then he goes right. If he kicks the linebacker right, then he cuts left. But my main point was the fullback is also a running back. So you also allow him in certain instances in short yardage, because that fullback also is a lot bigger and stronger. So, but everyone has gotten used to quarterback sneak, or the running back comes from behind to push the quarterback, as opposed to really giving it to a true stout running back. Jeff, you talked about Mike Allstott. That's the perfect example, because Mike Allstott was more of a power back as opposed to a fullback. Christian Okoye. So, but they were also big, strong, and they can get to those short yardage where you really didn't need the quarterback as opposed to nowadays. So, yes, the loss of the fullback has really changed the game. It has taken away the compression of the offense and now has spread it out, because the theory is now, instead of also just attacking vertically, you can also attack an off defense horizontally. So, which it does stress a defense because you have more field to cover, where if you're in 12 personnel, or even if you're in 20 personnel, you're still having 2 backs in the backfield, which now allows the defense to bring an extra defender into the box to compress the defense and compress the offense. So I miss fullbacks. I've always loved fullbacks.
I have too. I think they're one of the most underrated positions.
Yes. And I also, because of when I was in OC, I used fullbacks also because I ran freeze option. So, and what that basically means is the fullback is diving and the quarterback is reading the edge. And he's basically, if the edge crashes down, he pulls the ball and then he goes right down with the running back running with him. I'm sorry, triple option. Freeze option would just basically be that he comes down the line of scrimmage. Sorry. But the point I'm making is you're still using all three, where now everyone talks about RPO to offset or kind of replace the option, the option offense, the triple option, the wishbone option. They use that now to run to basically use the option concept. So, but the fullback is a lot tougher, bigger, stronger, great blocker, and like Adam alluded to, is a great friend to a running back. Because if you look at all the old great ones, Eric Dixon had him, Franco Harris had Rocky Blyer. Who am I missing?
Hall of Fame.
Sweetness. Walter Payton had what's his name? 26, number 26. The point Joe Morris. We had Maurice Carthon.
Hall of Fame.
So you need.
LaDainian Tomlinson had Lorenzo Neal in front of him.
Exactly. So
right, and you're mentioning Hall of Fame backs there, right? Now they're using a fullback with a fat guy in the backfield, as an offensive lineman. Sometimes the Giants have done that, where they've put a big center in the backfield and run with him, which is fine. They're trying to get rid of a position that I feel, like Coach said, is. I mean, look at Lamar Jackson, right? They're showing him on the screen. You could have a fullback stand in there and help block on the blitz, because that's what that guy is going to do. He's not going to shy away from the contact like some of these running backs who don't do that in college. What did they not show you about B.J. Robinson, Bijan Robinson? They didn't show you his blocking skills. Yeah. They showed you every highlight under the sun of him spinning and, juking guys out, but they don't show you blocking. What was the trouble that Barkley had coming out? Blocking. Well, guess what? If you want to help him out, then put in a fullback. Now, you don't want to make it's such a tell that, you're always bringing in a fullback because of passing downs. But to me, I think the football needs to go back to the way it was with these things. I think they're getting too cute with these college offenses, trying to make these guys feel good. And I don't know if it's the football education, like I said, like the coaching is just like, well, these guys aren't the same players anymore. Their mental capacity isn't able to do certain things. That's why we're getting them off the field, because I know that they're trying to get more speed, right? The fullback technically is a slow guy. Yes. So I understand it, but to me, like, why not have extra blocking? The key thing to keeping a quarterback up is constant blocking. And what happens? These lines, when you give them these RPO lines and these spread out lines, you don't get guys blocking right now. They don't do that same way because they're not taught well anymore in college. They all taught how to do spread offenses, right? Mm-hmm. They're not taught how to run downhill. That's why when you see these guys, you're like, you want these linemen, but then you see them struggle the first week, the first few games out the gate, is because they have to relearn everything that they were taught.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, real quickly, Coach, I saw the update. Quentin Grimes is going to be active for the Knicks on Game 1, so just want to let you know that. So that's a good sign for the Knicks, is that Quentin Grimes will be active for Game 1. And I don't know if you guys want to answer this question too. It's not a football question; it's a basketball question. Apparently, Arku said that Sam Presti, the general manager of the Oklahoma City Thunder, in his press conference says you don't buy the paint before you buy a house. He wants to know everybody's thoughts on that, including myself. So if everyone wants to talk about it first, go ahead. Just if you want to see the quote again. I think he's pretty much saying like he doesn't want to put too much, put too much the cart in front of the horse, where he wants to go out there and, get himself a superstar before he is an established, core he's building together, and an established, culture, core team he's put together. He doesn't want to detonate that whole thing just for a certain superstar. So I think that might be what he is trying to indicate in this statement that Sam Presti made to the media in Oklahoma City a couple of weeks ago. Jordan Battle and safety Antonio Johnson haven't been drafted. No safety has been drafted in the first round yet. There's still every single safety is still available in the second round. So you could potentially see some safeties go sometime in the middle of the second round or so. So just keep that in mind.
I know people want to talk about like how the Giants don't need a safety. They have their three safeties that we know about, right? We don't know what Pinnock's going to be. We don't know what these other guys are going to be, but they have McKinney and they have Dane Belton, right? We know for sure. But after that, who do they really have, right? So if you decide you want to bring in the kid from Alabama and have him be your safety, you never know what McKinney's going to do, if he's going to be here, how much he's going to cost. And if he does tend to walk because you're paying somebody else, you already have him on the roster, and you're like, all right, we can keep building. Because remember, the money gets bigger, right? Everyone's like, oh, yeah, you can sign everybody who's salary cap. Yeah, but then those great players that you want to sign take up more of your salary cap, right? So the more and more that we sign, the less and less we're going to keep a guy. Look around the league. You can't keep everybody. The Eagles somehow have done it. I don't know how, but they're great capologists. All I'm saying is never let players on your roster dictate who's on your roster, because the NFL, like Coach said, goes by a value chart. And if you're drafted in the second round over a guy like Dane Belton who's in the fourth round, that means they valued you higher than Dane Belton. Meaning when contracts come up, they may give him more money or less money, depending on being a 4th-round pick. Now, if he's exceeded those expectations and become a perennial Pro Bowler, borderline all-star player and everything like that, then it doesn't really come into fruition. But that's why you see a lot of these guys in the NFL bounce around all the time because they've been a 2nd-round pick. So they're like, well, we can fix them. We can fix them. We can fix them. So really don't just sit there and say, well, we have all the safeties in the world. We're good to go, because there's injuries that happen. There's a lot of things that happen in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a good point, Adam. You never could have enough at a certain position. You always want to try to stack up. You always want to try to think about the future as well as the present. That's exactly what Philadelphia did in their 2 first-round picks.
Next man leave.
Do they really need defensive line help? Absolutely not. But what did they do? They stacked up on that defensive line for more resources going into past this year, because you got Fletcher Cox and you got Brandon Graham, who are going to be getting up there in age, and they're not going to be around much longer. Now you got 2 young studs that are going to take over for those guys when eventually they leave. So you always need to restock at that position. There's no guarantee. It's not a 100% lock, tie it up in a bow and put it off in the back, that Xavier McKinney is going to be here after the season. He's just going to automatically sign a contract extension. So if Brian Branch or Jordan Battle or Antonio Johnson or any of these guys are there, and you have a chance to add to that group you already have, take them.
2 quick Giant stories that involve players that were drafted behind players they already had on the roster. Carl Banks is one of them. He even says in the story that he walked in and Taylor and Carson go, "What are you doing here, homeboy? We already got linebackers." You know what I mean? And basically trying to check him at the door like, yo, you're going to have to earn your way on the field, right? And then you have 2006 where they drafted Matthias Kiwanuka and the famous lines of, "You can never have too many pass rushers." Well, look what Matthias Kiwanuka ended up doing with them, helping them win a Super Bowl. And not only that, taking over for Osi Umenyiora when he blew out his knee in 2008. He moved back from linebacker back to defensive end. So guys like this help, and the Giants need to do something like this, because right now, again, look, they have Ojulari and they have Kayvon Thibodeau. Can you name me the other defensive ends behind them?
No,
Jihad Ward. That's
Ward
it.
Maybe, but he's more of a run stopper, if anything. He's not a pass rusher.
Oh, Jihad Ward. Oh, yeah, but Jihad Ward is more of a strong side linebacker to me than anything, really. I don't even count that guy. That guy gets 3 sacks a year. I mean, my God, I can sniff 3 sacks a year. But the point is that look at these championship teams. Look what Kansas City did. Kansas City took a pass rusher. They just took Karlakis the year before. Yeah, right. And I forget who they took they took that kid from Kansas State. Can't pronounce his name. But
Azawa, I believe.
Right. You think Spagnuolo's not sitting here like, look what I can do with this? And they just lost Justin Houston this year, right? Or guys like that.
Frank Clark was like that,
year, right? So they needed to replace him. So now you're going to replace him with younger guys, and that defense is really stepped up. So it when you look at these things, I think we get caught up too much in the need and, we need this or we need that. It's like the Giants figure it out. That's what they're paid to do. They will figure it out. And if they don't happen, like, for example, if they don't get a center, everyone's going to blow a gasket, blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, Bredesen goes out and plays decent at center. Are we really complaining?
And also,
you blow a gasket for not getting a receiver. You can't win, really.
This is fans. You have to understand, with every single sport, fans are going to blow a gasket if something doesn't go their way or something they like. You also have a young player on that team who I brought it up yesterday, who has played center before, and that's Joshua Azudu. He has played center before with North Carolina. He has experience playing the position. Maybe, just maybe, if you want to think about an Osiris Torrance who is playing at guard. I know he's a right guard. So, I mean, you could think about maybe him.
Well, Gawinski is gone after this year. He's only signed a 2-year deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got Marcus McKeithen, but can you bank on McKeithen yet?
Let's be honest. That kid's a fifth round lineman.
Exactly. And he's coming off an ACL. You can't bank on that kid right now. It does not hurt.
Maybe they want to use Shane Lemieux there because that's a guy we haven't heard of, but he took a lot of snaps prior to this. So did Ben Bredesen. So, I mean, there's a reason why they didn't sign Feliciano besides him stinking. They also believe in these guys. And they just signed that guy out of Pittsburgh, Hausman or whatever his name is.
Yeah, J.C. Hausenauer. Yeah.
So he's not a great center, but maybe you put him in as a veteran to kind of stabilize the line when you bring in these young guys. I mean, the thing about what we need to do is the Giants lacked a lot of things last year, and talent was one of them. Right?
across the board. Guys were going down and we're putting in Band-Aids and saying, well, we're fans. We're like, yeah, well, go, Bredesen, go. Meanwhile, he's getting eaten up by guys like Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter because he's not supposed to be on the field. So maybe bringing in O'Cyrus Torrence is not a bad idea to do that, because now you can let McKeithen develop and not have pressure of, hey, kid, come in and start. You know what I mean? The Giants have set themselves up so well with bringing in guys on the back end of their depth chart that they're not going to be what Dave Gettleman was, where he didn't draft a center and then went in with 3 old guys, and he lost Zach Fulton, Joe Looney, and 3 guys right there that we had to trade Billy Price at the last minute, right? This team is not going to be caught with their pants down like that. And whoever they pick, I think they'll do well at. So far, their first-round picks, the last 2 drafts, have been phenomenal. It's these middle-round picks we need to start to see some return on.
That's a good point. Yeah, but the flip side of that is Jerry Reese's mentality was the best player available and didn't really get us far. He went more on upside and guys with a lot of high potential. But
definitely. Look at 2016 when he spent like $200 million for a whole defense. That didn't last long.
It worked for the one season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how long did we get after that?
Well, the problem is that we didn't have any depth behind it. So when these guys went down, when Olivier Vernon goes down and you're signing guys off the street, to be your defensive end, that's really the problem. The problem with the Giants' Jerry Reese era is their middle round picks never hit. So, that's the reason why we are bereft of talent, because when guys like the first rounders would leave, or you didn't get that, glory days of like remember, Justin Tuck was picked under Accorsi. Webster under Accorsi, Snee under Accorsi. The one draft that he did very well at, Jerry Reese, was the 2007 draft. Yes. That draft will live in infamy for him because he got Aaron Ross. He had Bradshaw in that draft. He had a few other guys in that draft.
Smith, the defensive tackle who got that big sack on Brady in the Super Bowl.
Right. I don't know if it was Jay Alford.
It was Jay Alford. Yeah, Jay Alford.
It was Jay Alford. So you had a lot of those guys. He had gems come in like JPP. You can't knock what he did with JPP. He also brought in the Odell Beckham era, right? For him, Jerry Reese was obsessed with the skill position players. When he drafted O-lineman, like the dude from Arkansas, I forget what his name was, didn't even last long. He was a 5th round pick in and out of line. His free agency, David Boss, was not a great center, but he brought him in, right? No. But you know what I'm saying? And then Dave Gettleman came in and had the same kind of philosophy, but when he brought in guys, it wasn't that they were bad, it's just that they didn't pan out, right? It wasn't the wrong idea. He brought in Andrew Thomas, right? We can't be mad at that. He brought in Nate Solder. Were we mad at that? Yes, but he wanted Andrew Norwell. Andrew Norwell's like, yo, I don't want to play for you. I want to go to, Florida and play in Jacksonville. I can't blame him for that. He wanted Patrick Omameh. We all loved Patrick Omameh coming in until we saw him play. Then we're like, get him out of here. And what I respected Dave Gettleman for that year was he didn't wait and say, oh, let's play him. I signed him. They cut his ass and they brought in Jamon Brown or whatever his name was, and kind of rectified the situation. So when we look overall at a draft class, we have to, and a free agency class, we have to look at what these guys' ideas were. Were the players wrong? Maybe the idea wasn't.
Worst free agent signing, John Beeson. There was
Jonathan Stewart was the worst free agent.
Stewart was bad. Galladay, got to put Galladay up there.
Galladay was there. Nate Solder.
Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, Marshall was pretty brutal too.
And the thing is that we're finally getting a coach and a GM who are in lockstep and are trying to build a team from the ground up. We keep forgetting that the Giants were in a rebuild mode, but they were in a rebuild, right? Across the board, they lack talent. And to be honest with you, the Eagles are staying on top. Their 2 draft picks right now make them stay good, because we're sitting here like, I know people are like, oh, they got rid of Jerron Hargraves and they're going to be bad because they lost this. They kept Darius Slay. They added Jalen Carter, and they added Nolan Smith, 2 already, Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis, right? And with those 2 guys coming in, you don't need to start Jalen Carter out the gate. You can just say, hey, do what you want, right? Come in and play behind these guys. And like I said last night on the Jeff stream, I said, Jalen Carter, I know he has a lot of issues. Well, guess what? You're bringing him around a core of guys that are already on his team, right? Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, the Smith cat. They're going to try to keep him in line and say, listen, man, you're here. We're your friends. You don't need to do the crazy stuff that you did. Let's build this thing together. And I think he went to the right fit. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. I think with all those other Georgia Bulldogs right around them, I think it's going to keep him centered and try to keep him, out of any type of trouble. I think the kid is in a perfect situation. He's got a couple of veteran leaders there, and Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox are going to help keep that kid in line too and help develop and get the most out of his potential. Do we think that Levis is going to go early? There's already teams calling the Pittsburgh Steelers for that number 32 pick, and obviously it's probably going to be for Will Levis. So Levis is going to go.
I think it's funny that he left.
Picks.
He left. I don't know if he left Kansas City, but he's not coming back to the green room. He's like, screw this crap.
Yeah,
and I think that's it. That's on him because I hear he didn't interview well. He was a little arrogant, and let's be honest, his tape don't lie. Chris Bucco and I have this conversation all the time. The problem with Will Levis was his big game ability. He didn't bring guys back, and in big game situations, he had bad turnovers, and those things can be rectified. But those things are looked at in like, hey man, like, whoa, this guy mentally didn't have it, right? So what are they saying? Like how is a guy like Anthony Richardson plays 13 games, right? Goes over this guy, and this guy who's played 4 years of college and has all this tape on him going in the second round. It's because potential. It's because of what they see in the games that these quarterbacks played. And let's be honest, Will Levis didn't do anything. He played in the SEC, but it's not like so did who else? Herndon Hooker played in the SEC. So did a couple of these other guys. Herndon Hooker lit up the scoreboard. And damn near, I don't know if he beat Alabama, but I think he beat Alabama too, right? So he had some big games in college where you're like, oh man, I hope this guy comes out. Will Levis, on the other hand, decreased. He had a good season with Wan'Dale Robinson. Then he came in this year and kind of didn't have the numbers that they thought he was going to have. And then, kind of was rubbing people the wrong way. They said he looks like, looks the part, but mentally he might not all be there. So, I mean, I can't take a guy seriously when you put mayonnaise in your coffee.
I'm trying not to be funny, but Will Levis is built like a linebacker.
Yo, Coach, man, where's all the Twitters, yo?
Yeah. Coach, where's all the Twitter things in the private chat? But also, there was a toe injury that he suffered too.
I'm behaving myself.
All right. He's saving it for tonight. He's saving it for tonight, probably.
Oh, we can't have an afternoon delight here? Come on, man.
Sky rockets in flight. Woo! Afternoon delight.
The most I heard on Will Levis is mostly about his girl than actually him.
Well, listen, look, Will Levis will get a call. I mean, he's good. He can go to the second round. I know a lot of people are worried about the fifth-year option. Listen, you're gonna get signed regardless. Okay, if your team likes you, they're gonna find a way to sign you. Right? The fifth-year option, what it does is it'll let you punt an extra year to say, okay, we can still sign.
Damn you, Adam! Damn you! Damn you, Adam! You had to.
Ask and you shall receive.
You had to bring it up, didn't you?
I'm not opening it on this computer because that's my work computer. God forbid they.
I imagine that gets saved on your work computer. Yeah. But how was I going to say? I was just going to say something before. What do you guys think is going to happen with DeAndre Hopkins? And you think we're going to start seeing some veteran players potentially be on the move? Because this is the day, I believe, you're going to start seeing some veterans being potentially put on the block for some either draft capital or if teams want to move up. Some veterans that are either on expiring deals, some veterans that maybe aren't in the long-term plans, some veterans that maybe the team doesn't really see as much value in. Do you see some veteran players on other teams being put on the block and potentially being traded in this second round, i.e. a DeAndre Hopkins or some of these other guys? Or do you think it's mainly just going to be about trading up and down between teams and just seeing what kind of value they can get?
I don't know if you're going to get a player per se in this draft. I think that everyone's going to wait, if they are, to the training camp, because to me, the value goes down here, right? We're already in the draft right now. So unless you're a team that can give somebody something, like let's say the Giants are like, we don't like any of these receivers, we'll give them the 12th round, the second round pick to Arizona straight up for DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, fine, right? That's basically what you could do. If they don't do that, what I think will happen is, like what I think they might do with Barkley or guys like that, or you wait till the draft and the season, and you see who gets injured, and then you build more capital for next year's draft, as we all believe there's going to be a lot more players and a lot more flexibility happening. So if you don't see guys traded today, it's not necessarily saying they won't be traded. It's maybe the teams will hold out, because you never know. We've seen it every year. Guys, I mean, look at the Ravens. They have receivers left and right. They just apparently there's a rumor they're bringing Antonio Brown in, right? So now they got Antonio Brown, They have Zay Flowers. They have Odell Beckham Jr. Right, one of those. They have the Bateman kid. If one of those guys goes down or they're decimated with injuries, then maybe DeAndre Hopkins is brought in. So and I'm only using them as an example. People don't roast me because I already told you they have 5 good receivers. But teams like that, maybe they bring them in. Maybe the Browns decide, you know what, screw it. We want to go for the bag, the thing right now. We'll do it. So I'm not saying I don't agree with you, but you're not going to get the value you thought you were going to get if you're trying to trade them now. You might as well try to see if you can wait. And if I'm the Cardinals, why wouldn't I want to wait?
Oh, here you go, right here. Just Coach put in the private chat. Apparently, the GM has said that Arizona is not moving DeAndre Hopkins and that he's going to be a Cardinal. But can we believe it?
Yeah. Well, I like I said that what that does is it brings the value up so that when he plays this season, for example, if the Cardinals go out and he's balling. Remember, last year he was suspended. He's 1 PED suspension away from being out the entire year. Okay, and if you bring him in the season and he's balling out and somebody goes down, remember we were trying to get Jerry Jeudy. Well, what if at this time the Cardinals are terrible, but DeAndre Hopkins is balling out, and they're like, well, we not only do we have 2 first-round picks because we traded with. They traded somebody to get a first-round pick, but now we can get a couple seconds for DeAndre Hopkins. Then you make that deal, right? So now you make the deal for next year. They're not. If you haven't made a trade for a guy by now, you're probably not going to do it unless you're trying to package him moving up. And the fact that the Cardinals say it, I don't think they're going to pull what Dave Gettleman did. Say we didn't sign Odell, trade Odell, and then trade Odell 3 minutes later. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to wait till the trade deadline, let him build up some value, and see what they can get. Like, look, DJ Moore got traded, right? He got traded in the offseason.
Yep.
They got Jerry Jeudy still, we're like, everyone's like, oh, the Giants are involved in Jerry Jeudy. Well, technically they're not, but you never know what's going to happen come mid-year if those teams are stinking up the joint and they're like, yo, we need a receiver who's on the market.
I don't know if Will Levis left Kansas City. I think he might have just not been in the green room, obviously, after what happened last night, but I don't know if he left Kansas City completely. I don't even know that. I guess Minnesota, maybe they did go wide receiver because of the fact they got a cornerback in free agency. They got Byron Murphy. I completely forgot they got Byron Murphy in free agency. So maybe that's why they decided to go wide receiver instead.
You know what? That's a good point. I remember that. But he's coming off an injury too, so we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, their problem also in that Giant game, and I don't mean to take up everyone else's time.
Take as much, Adam. You know, I've said it before. Take as much time as you need. Say what you got to say.
So my point is that they had problems last year with their wide receiver core, right? In the playoffs. They didn't. They had Osborne. He didn't do much. Adam Thielen was a shell of himself. And you had Jefferson, who everyone targeted. They did bring in TJ Hawkinson, who also did help. Giants couldn't cover him for, worth of shit. So now you bring in a guy like Addison. Now you got 3 bona fide guys who are going to command coverage. So Kirk Cousins is going to have his pick of the litter in terms of where he wants to go. So hopefully this will help them because that's what last year I think they really lacked. And that's why I think Carolina, even though they have Adam Thielen, I think he's more of a possession guy, right? They tried to rely on him too much in Minnesota. And I think this guy, Addison, if he pans out for them, will help Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Justin Jefferson with this, not only is he going to lead the league, but he's going to break that. He's going to break that record again. He's going to come close to 2,000 yards next season.
And I sort of like the fact they got somebody like Addison because Addison is a little bit of a different type of wide receiver than Jefferson. He's more of a smaller guy, but he's a great route runner inside and out. Jefferson could take the ball over the top, and you got Addison that could be that guy that can pretty much control the middle of the football field, and it could allow KJ Osborne to be that slot guy. So I think it's actually not that bad of a move. Plus, you said it before, Minnesota's going to have their second-round pick, and you got guys like Cam Smith still on the board. You got Joey Porter Jr., even though we believe he's going to get picked early. You got DJ Turner. You got Stevenson out of Miami that's still available. You got Eli Ricks. So there's a lot of good quarterback depth on the roster already. So it's not necessarily meaning that you have to just pretty much think that the cornerback position is just going to be off kilter. So,
well, I think they go Trenton Simpson or Drew Saunders if they're there because their linebacker play last year was terrible, and they let Kendricks walk. So you need to build somebody in that defensive room, and I think those 2 guys. I mean, Brian Flores, whether you like him or not, is a good defensive coordinator.
Yes,
that's what he is, right? So we'll see. I think defensively he'll be fine.
No, I agree. I think defensively they'll do just fine over there in Minnesota. Maybe they probably will try to go for a linebacker. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they go for a safety. Harrison Smith is getting up there in age as well, even though they brought him back. So at the same time, maybe they want to try to get themselves a young safety. For Brian Branch, a Jordan Battle, if an Antonio Smith, they're sitting there. Who's to say they don't try to get themselves a young safety to pair up with Harrison Smith and have him being tutored by him as a veteran over there? So that's another position that they can look at going into the second round. So Minnesota's got a lot of different options they can go now that they got their number 2 wide receiver right behind Justin Jefferson. So, it's a lot of things they can do going into this draft. But what do you think the Jets' strategy is going to be? What do you think the Jets are going to do in the this second, third round? I know they don't have their second round pick because I believe they traded away in the Aaron Rodgers deal. But what about the third round? What do you think the Jets are going to do? Since we talked about the Giants, let's talk about the other New York team.
No, they have a second round pick. They do.
I thought they might have traded away in the Aaron Rodgers deal.
They only traded one, and then they traded a conditional second round pick next year. So the 2 picks that you're thinking about, they already had 2 second rounders.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What do you think direction they're going to go into the second round?
Target offensive line. Whether it's center or tackle, I don't know, but let me see what tackles.
I say they go the kid from Florida.
That's exactly. We're on the same wavelength, Adam. That's exactly.
Then you move Elijah Vera Tucker out to right tackle, and you call it a day because that guy is so. Yes, Torrance. Yes,
that's. Torrance I don't know. Is a right guard.
Right. So you move him. You put him in. You move Elijah Vera Tucker to tackle because he can play tackle. He's done it in college, and he's 308. This guy Torrance is 340. So. You want a guy that's going to be road grading. You got Breece Hall back there. You got Michael Carter. You're going to need to open up some holes. And that guy to me is like you plug him in. I know they're like, we need a center. They signed 2 centers. They had McGovern and then they signed somebody else, Wes Schweinberger or Switchberger or something like that.
Yeah, and they were floating around with Ben Jones as well, the former Tennessee Titan at one point.
Right, and that guy may not be signed, so you never know what's going to happen. Remember, people, free agency is still on. Right? Yes. There are still some players out there that will be added to rosters as we go. So just because the Giants or Jets don't pick up the center that you want, because you're driving the ship here and you're in the retail store trying to get the pair of socks you want. Just because they don't get the guy you want doesn't mean it's not on their brain and they might not have somebody in mind.
That's a great point. There's plenty of other guys out there in free agency that are just waiting right now to see when the draft passes by. You got undrafted free agency. You let all these other guys get picked up by teams, and eventually they're going to, put their 2 cents in there. They're going to try to get the best deal for them after the dust clears. Plus, you also have the June 1st, cuts. You have June 1st cuts that are going to be happening as well. So that's when you might see some of these guys become, like Adam said, late additions towards the end of, we get towards mini camp, training camp, preseason, etc. So I think the Jets are going to go offensive line. I'm actually I'm on the same wavelength as Adam. If that kid Cyrus Torrance is there when the Jets are picking, I think the Jets are going to take him. You slide him in at right guard, like you said. Elijah Vera Tucker has experience playing left tackle or right tackle. Maybe you can move Elijah Vera Tucker to left tackle. Try him out over there, and if you want to try Becton at right tackle, there you go. You have a couple of players right there. You got Max Mitchell as a swing tackle, so. You have another depth player right there. Or you can get one of the centers, Weipler, Schmitz, Tittman, Oluwatimi, whoever it is. So I think the Jets are going to have their pick of the litter at the interior offensive line position. I'm not sure what offensive tackles right now are still available that could be considered top of the line guys. I still got to do a little bit more research on what offensive tackles are still there, but they can go maybe for an offensive tackle at the second pick as well. Coach is nodding his head. I think he's agreeing, or he's listening to some beats in the background.
Yeah. They're doing Deontay Banks in practice.
Oh, like a highlight package?
Yeah, but they're showing him he's mic'd up in practice and just showing his work. That's all.
He's a talker too. I kind of like that. He's a talker. I like the fact he's a vocal guy on the outside.
I think that's when he was young.
The only knock on him that I heard is the mental part of the game, which, Martindale's defense is not necessarily overly complicated, but we're just going to have to get through some of those rookie bumps, because there are going to be rookie bumps, people. I don't want to hear anything. A lot of our rookies didn't do, like Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah, he had a good impact towards the end of the year, right? Evan Neal still had to do some growing. This kid's going to be on the outside. He's going to get tested early. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks who are going to say, all right, let me do it. Like, they're going to play the Jets this year. You don't think Aaron Rodgers look at his chops saying, all right, Lazard, let's get this guy. Let's see if we can fool him, right? So he's going to be baptism by fire. It's about confidence. It's about hopefully he can grow into the role. And, because cornerback is so tough to in this league to play, to hit on, to get a good one, right? I mean, you look at Jeff Okudah. The Lions got him, drafted him 5th overall. He had a couple injuries, and he played okay this season. And then they said, you know what, get out of here, right? And they got somebody else. We're hoping Devon Witherspoon came in, right? The guy that the Seattle drafted last year, he wasn't even in the top picks of the draft, right? People weren't even thinking about him, and all of a sudden, I think Wooden is his name, right? He had this great season last year, right? So DBs are hard to come by. And let's hope. I think he's perfect fit in terms of size, speed, ratio, what Wink Martindale wants to do. Last year, and I do believe the year prior, the corners weren't hindering the defense, but weren't allowed to do what they needed to do in the defense because we were trying to cover up for the lack of pass rush. Now we finally got a guy in Deonte Banks where you don't need to cover up for pass rush. You're like, all right, kid, you're out there on the island. Let's go.
Yeah. And you notice they're starting to bring in a lot of dogs now on this team too. A lot of guys that are not afraid to talk on the field, but they're going to back it up with their play on the football field, which I kind of like.
Wow.
What?
Next Shift Randy did a little video. The Raptors have secured permission to talk to Becky Hammond of the Las Vegas Aces.
Oh, wow. I like it. That woman deserves to get her opportunity to become a head coach in the NBA. Absolutely 100%. Oh. Sorry. But yeah, that's that was adorable, coach, by the way.
Well, it's the other one first. I'd rather get rid of the other one than that one, the one in the living room.
I'm gonna put it in the conference room. There, Kevin.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
sorry. I thought I had mute. I thought I muted myself.
It's okay. It's okay.
Damn fingers. Sorry, guys.
No, I think that's actually pretty cool that Becky Hammond is getting interviewed again. I think it's just a matter of time until she becomes a head coach in the NBA.
Yeah, she deserves it. So
she does.
Yeah, that's a good one by Next Shift Randy, definitely. So
yeah, and I'm glad Randy put that up. I'll make sure to check out that video. I am going to cut the live stream a little bit shorter today because we are going to be going live tonight in literally about 4.5 hours or so. And I'll probably go to like the 2-hour mark and then I'll cut it short. We'll be back by 7 o'clock tonight for the beginning of the second and third round. So, what are some of the other things you're looking forward to seeing going into the second and third round of the NFL draft tonight?
The trades that are going to come up.
The trades, yeah.
I really think there's going to be a lot of trades. I mean, the first round, we saw a lot of trades. You really did. So I think that we're going to see a lot more trades.
Do you think there's going to be
I don't think as much as last year, but I think we are going to see more trades in the second round.
No, I agree. Especially with the talent you have right now that's still in the second round. I do believe there's going to be some teams trying to go up and try to make some moves for some of that really good top tier talent that could have been first rounders. You guys see some players potential? I was asking Adam that before when you stepped away, Coach. Do you think there might be some veteran players that could be potentially on the block that might be traded in the second and third round, or no?
Veterans? I mean, unless they're like a major move, but as far as minor moves, no. I right off the top of my head, no, I don't really foresee anything. So as far as veterans, I think it's going to be geared more towards a player in the draft who might be dropping that a team feels that they want to go up and get. So I see that, but as far as veteran players, no, I can't really see anything.
What about you, YTC? Do you feel the same thing?
I wouldn't be shocked if Leonard Williams is traded, given what his cap hit is going to be. I wouldn't rule it out.
I mean, I don't think I could still see the team trying to work out a deal with Leonard Williams and trying to spread that contract across the next few years. I don't think they're going to be going through a trade right now. I think if a trade does happen, you might see it somewhere around the June 1st deadline, the cut deadline. I don't think it's going to happen right now. That they're going to try really hard to negotiate and talk with Leo to knock that $32 million on his cap right now down to more of a reasonable amount. I don't think he's going to take a pay cut. I mean, why would he take a pay cut unless he really badly wants to be a Giant? So I think they'll try to work out some type of extension with him, which will spread out that cap. And at the same time, you can work out an extension long-term with Dexter Lawrence. And then there you go. You got your two defensive tackles all situated moving forward. I could see the Saints trading up from the 40th pick. Yeah, if there's a player there that they like, I mean, I could see them trading up maybe a couple of spots to get a player that they want to add to their defense or their offense. Absolutely. I agree with you, normal guy.
You're making a lot of normal guys really talking about a lot. Maybe there might be a run on wide receivers in the second round. I mean, you had 4 in the first round, but you might really starting to see a run in the second round.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot more of the guys that we're talking about, the Perrys, the Tillmans, the Mingos, the Mims, all these guys, because they don't have first-round grades. But, hey, we'll get a guy here, and we can fill out our roster who can contribute, right?
Exactly.
Like, I don't think the Baltimore Ravens are going to get another receiver. I mean, if this Antonio Brown thing is correct, I think they've got a pretty stacked house. But like you said, maybe the Saints want to do it. Maybe another team like the Giants do have need. Remember, everyone thinks the draft is for this year. You can't draft just for this year. You have to draft going forward for next year and beyond, because that's what you're doing. Because player movement is so rampant. Like, for example, you said Leonard Williams be traded. I don't think he's going to be traded. No one's going to take that contract on. So I think the Giants are kind of stuck with him. And if I were the Giants, I would just let him eat that $32 million and then let him walk next year and say find a new home. And build that way. Only because, he's not going to command the same amount of money, unless he gets double-digit sacks. I don't think he's going to do that. Leonard Williams is who Leonard Williams is. He's a disruptor. He's a good defensive tackle, not great. He never going to put up more than, 10 sacks a year. That's already been shown to you and in the years he's been with the Giants. So you're probably just going to let him ride it out and say, hey, listen, because what are you going to do? Kick the can down the road and then have to restructure again? I mean, that's why Bradbury got cut, because he was like, nah, man, I'd rather just take my money and leave and not be restructured. And they were like, all right, man, we're going to cut you.
Good point, Bookends. It's about long-term success and backfilling. Good point.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I mean, who knows? I'm very intrigued. And you know what? Coach made a good point. And so did what a normal guy was bringing up. I think there is going to be a string of wide receivers starting to fly off the board early, because you see a lot of good quality guys, like you mentioned. We already talked about the names. Perry, Downs, Hyatt, Tillman, Dumas, Jarrett, Hutchinson, Mingo, Washington, Vicks, Rice. There's so many good quality wide receivers. Eli Silvis, might see that guy going today too. There's a lot of great wide receivers. Tyler Scott, Jaden Reed. There's like a ton of wide receivers I could see that can go in this part of the draft, because the amount of talent you have there. So I could definitely see that string of wideouts start flying off the board right around somewhere like in the late 30s, early 40s. And then you might see, if the Giants really want one of these guys, maybe they have to move up a couple of spots if they want to get one of these guys, or just stay where you are and see what you can get. I'm starting to think outside the box. Linebacker could be a position that they can go after. I do. I don't know why. I just don't think they're as 100% comfortable with the guys they currently have on the roster. So I do believe they're going to want to add another young linebacker to add to the corps that they have right now, because Downs is on a 1-year deal. McFadden's a rotational piece. And who the hell knows what Beaver is right now, coming off an injury, and he's a 6th-round pick. You can't bank on him because we like him. Doesn't mean he's going to automatically just come in, missing an entire season, and just be that guy right next to Okereke. You got to try to get some more depth in there and get some more talent. So I do believe that linebacker has got to be one of those positions too. And Coach Adam, YTC, I don't know if there's any defense, pass rushers that are still available that could potentially drop to the Giants too.
Well, yeah, I mean, like edge rusher, the depth is a question. There's depth at those two positions you mentioned. Linebacker, there's no depth. There's guys we don't trust, and then you got edge rusher where guys who don't trust. Ellison Smith hasn't quite lived up to his potential, and O'Shane Ximines, I hope, is not on the team next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, Ojulari might be the guy, and also don't rule out Isaiah McGuire in the 4th round. He would be a really solid pickup in the 4th or 3rd, I believe. McGuire.
I gotta do a little bit more studying.
I've been hearing about.
Hey, Raphael.
Oh, hello there. Sorry about it late because I was like a teacher because I was teaching some Spanish class, but yes. But sorry about that because that Friday came in
hey. Before I cut you off, I'm sorry if I cut you off real quickly. You don't ever have to apologize coming on the live stream. There's no apology. You can just come on anytime you feel like it, whenever you have the time. It's all good, bro.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, because last night that was really impressive to me because we had Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, which is our defensive end. And trust me, I mean, if you combine the trio between Chandler Jones and Max Crosby, I mean, this is something really incredible. It's gonna be like explosive. And I was watching the film breakdown of Tyree Wilson because I was doing class. And wow, what can I say about it? That dude is tremendously. The only thing he can really improve about it is the cover. What I would love to see on the round number 2 and round number 3, because we have to choose between Drew Sanders or Trent Sampson. Because I guarantee you, because I was watching the film study of Trent Sampson, that dude, he can cover at all, in all the positions. I mean, if we can take on Trent Sampson, that could be really explosive.
What about a cornerback, though? Because you guys could still use another cornerback, too, like a Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Turner, Cam Smith, Eli Ricks. Still a lot of good cornerbacks still on the board.
Yeah, they're still available. They're still available. But we need just look at a backup quarterback to choosing it out between Jimmy Garoppolo and Chase Garbers. But I think it's going to move on to a back quarterback. That would be great.
Yeah, or even the safety. If the safety falls right into your lap, like if Brian Branch is there, if Brian Branch falls into your lap, I don't know if you guys will be able to pass up on him, especially with Patrick Graham and what he's going to be looking for in terms of his back end of the secondary. Because your secondary right now is extremely suspect. I'd be very nervous right now about your secondary and the construction of that team. You get yourself a nice top flight cornerback that still might be on the board, or you get yourself a safety like a Branch or a Battle or Smith, you might as well throw them on there going forward too. So yeah,
I think we are all going for safety because that's one of the positions that we needed to fill it in. And of course, I think that Dave Zabel is going to working on it, but he needs to work a lot more when it comes to the draft picks. Because the last time we received for the draft picks, I think we were just choosing with Alice Littlewood, which is like a draft bust. But I think we're going to need a potential safety that will guarantee like a lot of things with the speed, the ability, and of course the energy that he could to the fit in for the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. I think you guys are going to go defense again. I do. And I think
that's the only
targeting a secondary.
Yeah, that's the only thing that we need it for because the wide receivers, the room is held full with Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers.
Miz is trying to troll you right now, Alex Leatherwood.
Oh, let's Leatherwood up. Miz, I guarantee you because we don't like it at Alice Leatherwood because he really sucked. But he was just like a trash pass, and we need to to move on.
Don't be shy. Tell me sucks again. No,
okay, so just say, I'm not gonna lie, Raiders are a mess. Oh,
that's a Raiders fan saying that the Raiders are a mess. He knows. Just working out now. Work off for the 6 days. There you go, Randy. I apologize, guys, but I'm probably only going to go for another 7 minutes or so. I got to get something to eat because we're going to be live again. Raph, are you going to be doing anything tonight, by the way?
Oh, I'm going to be doing something, but I'm gonna do something tonight at Friday. Well, after the round number 2 and number 3, and maybe I could hop on for your show, Jeff, on the reaction of the round number 2 and number 3.
Raph, you're more than welcome to hop on the panel for the entire round 2 and 3.
Yeah,
you're more than welcome to be there. We'd love to see a reaction for what the Raiders are going to do in the second
exactly. Mm-hmm. But it's gonna be like a tough division. Yeah, it's gonna be like a tough division. And absolutely. For the worst of Tyree Wilson, I think he's gonna handle it like this one because Patrick Mahomes, you gotta be careful because the defense for the Raiders for the draft is gonna be like really explosive. Really explosive. And I tell you, really explosive.
Liz, you are such an ass. But guys, we'll go for like another 5 minutes. What are you guys feeling about, your final feelings? And anybody that has any questions for the next 5 minutes or so, what are your final feelings going into like what you liked about the first round, some little bit of recap, etc., and what you guys are looking forward to in the second and third round? I know I said about 1,000,000 times, but everybody's thoughts can change. So throw them out there.
Well, Joe, do what you got to do, man. I'll trust your process. That's all I got to say, really.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you feel, best for the team, we'll see how it works out. I'm with you, Joe.
I'm excited. I'm excited to just see who's on board, who are the next giant draft picks, but also the draft itself. I mean, this is what football fans who are junkies like ourselves live for. We live for these moments. That's why we're sitting here on streams like this. That's why we're got all the draft guides in our hand. And I thought last night was exciting. I thought it was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there were many different twists and turns. Like I said, am I as juiced as this draft as I've been in the past? No, but it was exciting, and I hope the excitement continues, and I hope some more surprises happen.
Coach Raph?
For me, it's going to be completely different because we need to focus on all about the defense. All the defense, offensive line, linebacker, cornerback, maybe a backup quarterback. I mean, this could be like to make it or break it for the Raiders. And for this season, I think it's really explosive. And I guarantee you, this is going to be like a tough division. Because last season, we just suck. Because we had other games between Jacksonville Jaguars, Arizona Cardinals, and even the Kansas City Chiefs. We just had a blowout. But we need to wake the F up about the defense. It's all about now. Because we need to choose, no matter it's safety, guard, cornerback, linebacker, anything could happen like this, guys. Anything could happen because we need
to take this and smack Josh McDaniels upside the head too. Get him to make some sense as well as a head coach.
Exactly. But I guarantee you, folks, this is gonna be like the toughest decision. And Dave Ziegler, please. For the lovely desire, please do not screw it up because we need to focus all about the defense. That's what we need it for.
Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me. I feel the Raiders just don't have a direction. I don't know what the hell the Raiders are doing right now. I really don't. I like the pick of Tyree Wilson
from Texas Tech.
Yeah, but I don't know what they're doing in terms of the offensive line and the defense overall. I'm still wondering what the hell is going to happen with that team in terms of direction. But Coach, what about you? What's your final feelings? What you liked about the first round? I know we talked about it earlier. Liked about the first round. What you're looking forward to in rounds 2 and 3, etc. Your feelings about the whole situation.
You muted, Coach.
Mr. Coach, the sexiest personified is us. Decided to pause himself.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
As far as the first round, I mean, it was all cool. I mean, there were some shockers. It was more the shock for me than anything as far as Campbell and Gibbs going high in the first round. I mean, I'm not scared of the Eagles. I mean, but that's me. I don't begrudge anyone else. I get it. That's your fandom. Me, I don't scare
Yeah, I
anyone else.
think you had to go to the toughest division. Yeah, that's why they had the Washington Commanders, Cowboys, and of course the Giants and Eagles. I think this is gonna be like an epic battle.
I mean, if you look at the division, the one thing I take from that, everybody's focused on defense in the first round. So, because they're expecting it to be a tough division. Every game that you play is going to be tough, and you need to have that tough defense. So, and as far as today, I'm just really going to be watching the centers and the wide receivers. That's all I can say. Is that's pretty much it. You know what's happening there, and you know what's going to happen with our big blue. You know, are they going to capitalize and capitalize and get the players we need? So make a note of this: the Eagles will win the Super Bowl this year. The Giants will go to the Super Bowl in 2 years.
In next 2 years. Whoa.
I hope. Well, for our sake, we better hope the Eagles don't go to the Super Bowl.
I hope for the championship. I want a rematch between New York Giants versus Philadelphia Eagles for the conference championship. Call me crazy, but I can smell Giants versus Eagles revenge.
I don't think you hear a complaint out of any one of us when it comes to that.
NFC Championship game, I'll take it. I don't care who we play.
No, I'd love to be able to knock the Eagles out in the championship.
But yeah, definitely the Eagles would be definitely. Yeah. Would love to knock them off.
Like A.J. Brown told Parsons, hey, come over here to Philly. Yeah, it's never going to happen. I'm okay with them going and losing. I'd obviously love to win. We undefeated in division and championship games, but we'll have to wait and see. I hate it, but Eagles are very strong. Yes, they are. But guys,
yeah, they are.
I'm sorry I have to cut the show short. Normally, usually we go like 5-6 hours, like a friggin' marathon. But since we're going to be going live in literally about 4 hours or so, this young man right here has got to go get something to eat before he withers away into the dust. So I want to say thank you all for coming by another edition of the Football Friday show. Thank you very much to Coach Ed. Yeah, he's telling me to go eat. You know, like I don't want to be like Ezekiel Elliott. He's still right now trying to find his food on the open market. But thank you very much to Coach Ed, YTC, Adam Costas, El Capitan Radfucho.
Yes.
Michkovsky.
Yeah.
I thought Rob was on, but no, he didn't. And of course, who was on before. What's up?
And of course, Miz. If you
of course, I can't forget about the Miz. How can I forget about the Miz?
The Miz is awesome.
Miz, he wants to go out there and break some heads over there down in Florida while he's taking a jog. But thank you guys all for coming by the live stream. We will see you later tonight for rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft. And as we always say, before we end these live streams, let's go New York Football Giants. Together blue. Everyone, have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye.
Peace out. YTC out.